Smoking.
Smoking.
Cigarettes.
Cigarettes.
Cigarette.
Cigarette.
On the 11th of January 1964, the United States government acknowledged and announced publicly that cigarette smoking is a root cause of cancer. In less than 24 hours, an $8 billion cigarette industry and the livelihoods of more than 750,000 families were in jeopardy. While the sales of most companies were dwindling, there was one company which managed to miraculously and remarkably climb from having a market share of only 1% to being the fourth largest cigarette brand in the world in a period of less than 1 year. To everyone's surprise, after cigarette commercials were permanently banned from television in 1970, this brand grew even more popular, eventually becoming the world's largest cigarette maker and producer, dominating the tobacco industry. The company and brand I am referring to is none other than Marlboro. Marlboro has expanded to such a massive size and extent that it now outsells its next 10 largest rivals put together. The question is, what in the world did Marlboro as a company did to reach where they are today and enjoy so much market share and overall growth? Ironically, the same cancer report and ad ban which was supposed to be the catalyst to end or kill the tobacco business became the stepping stone for Marlboro that now enjoys a brand value of more than $58 billion. Isn't that sensational? Let's deep dive into today's episode and story to find the answer to this question. But before that, I would love it if you go ahead and subscribe to Alphause for brand as well as business stories, case studies, insights, and resources similar to this one. Especially if you are an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, a content creator, small or medium business owner, a student, or anyone who is a hustler or a dreamer, then you have hit home because we cover free and new business content just for you all. So hit the bell icon so that whenever a brand new story is out, you get notified instantly. After you have subscribed, please comment below I subscribed and I would personally comment on all those comments. Now, getting back to the story and answering the question, how does Marlboro dominate the tobacco industry? The answer lies in one of the most well-known marketing strategies ever devised by humankind: lifestyle marketing. Let us try to break down what exactly is lifestyle marketing. Lifestyle marketing is a marketing technique that positions the product or service as possessing ideals, aspirations, and aesthetics that the target audience identifies with. In layman's term, it means that brands marketed in this way are a way of life for their audience. To give you a reference, brands like Nike, Red Bull, Adidas, and in fact Apple use lifestyle marketing. Lifestyle brands function by determining what their customers want to accomplish and tailoring their brand to the experiences that their customers crave, as well as the people, things, and ideas that inspire them. Top lifestyle brands like Nike or Adidas understand that in today's competitive marketplace, it is not enough to create the ideal running apparel or shoes. They must also persuade their audience that they can become just like their favorite athlete. Let's try to understand this concept further with an example. If we take Nike as a reference, how do they leverage lifestyle marketing? Air Jordan was released by Nike in 1984 for the Hall of Fame former basketball player Michael Jordan and was made publicly available on April 1st, 1985. As soon as Nike signed Michael Jordan, the demand for Air Jordan shoes skyrocketed. In fact, it was so intense that Michael Jordan still makes more than 100 million a year from the royalties, even though it's been a very long time. Now, if you take a step back and try to understand this concept, it is just a coincidence that so many millennials, Gen Z and Gen Y across the globe were and even today are crazy enough to purchase Air Jordans, because if we take a step back, we would realize that it's just a pair of shoes, isn't it? You see, this is where the magic of lifestyle advertising comes into play. Consciously or subconsciously, the Air Jordans give us the impression that we are wielding the same shoes that Michael Jordan used himself. So essentially, we bought into the idea that Nike's Air Jordan has this direct connection with our ideal, Michael Jordan in this case, and considering he's such a huge legend, everyone wants to be associated with him. This is called lifestyle marketing, in which people buy the way of life of an icon who is linked to a product instead of the product itself. I hope this clears the concept of lifestyle marketing. And this is precisely what the Marlboro Cigarette Company's marketing department did to their brand. After the 1964 report by the United States, companies became more vigilant about protecting their image and reputation. While some brands defended cigarettes, others ignored or dismissed the studies and report altogether. Even back then, Marlboro was just a small company that catered to women by producing cigarettes for them. As soon as the information became public, Philip Morris, the parent company of Marlboro, changed their marketing strategy and became the embodiment of lifestyle marketing in the 20th century. So, what Marlboro did was quite unique and different. Unlike other tobacco companies, instead of defending cigarettes or smoking and using numbers, data, and jargon, Marlboro marketers created an iconic campaign called the Marlboro Man, wherein they presented a character who was supposed to represent everything a man could hope to become. They started referring to him as the Marlboro Man. The commercial featured a cowboy named the Marlboro Man who had a perfectly chiseled body and was presented as the epitome of masculinity. He was the embodiment of toughness, affection, and style, while also being a symbol of freedom and manliness. And just as we are sold on Air Jordans, men in the 1960s were so captivated and enchanted by the Marlboro Man that they began purchasing Marlboro cigarettes. The commercial was a big game changer for the Marlboro brand. Marlboro went from having less than 1% of the market to being the world's fourth largest cigarette manufacturer just in a year. As a matter of fact, tobacco was not even the primary focus of any of those advertisements. Very similar to what we see in companies like Nike or Adidas, which do not use their products in their advertising but honor great athletes and athleticism. Similarly, Marlboro did it with the Marlboro Man. This is why, despite the ban on cigarette advertising and the fact that companies were prohibited from showing smoking in their commercial, Marlboro was able to pull this off because their ads never actually portrayed cigarettes but rather centered on the Marlboro Man. This is how they were able to convey their emotions so easily even through print and magazines. That's why sales of Marlboro cigarettes kept rising and the brand thrived even after cigarette commercials were banned in the 1970s. In fact, sales soared as competitors found it difficult to promote their brands without actually displaying their own products. That's what made Marlboro an advertising icon and paved the way for the company, eventually growing it into a $58 billion powerhouse. The lessons we can learn from this legendary business and marketing case study go far beyond the realm of business and can be applied to every aspect of our lives. Similar to the Marlboro advertisement back in the 1960s, even today we still fall for psychological marketing. We tend to miss the minute details which are happening in front of us, where we subconsciously pick up certain notions where we see brand advertisements in this hyper digital and virtual world. In fact, there are now degrees, diploma and certification in psychological marketing that universities and colleges teach. I'm not saying it's good or bad. In fact, I leave that to your knowledge and wisdom, but tapping into someone's insecurity and vulnerability does fall into the gray side of things. You being aware as a customer and consumer is very crucial. Now, you might have yourself experienced this to a certain extent when you have watched your favorite show or your movie or even ads, where you tend to emotionally connect with a certain character. You are able to relate with them because you perceive yourself either in their shoes or vulnerable enough to be like them or form a connection, and with time that attachment fades away and then again you have a new character from a new show to relate with. Be it a character from the movie James Bond or the Joker from The Dark Knight or Walter White and Jesse from the Breaking Bad or even Tony Stark, as a matter of fact, from Iron Man. There are so many examples. And you tend to like them because of a notion that is deeper than the outer layer and is connected to human psychology. Well, what I'm talking about is a bit deep, and if you know, you know. And having this preconceived notion is not at all wrong or right, but being able to understand the reason behind it is crucial and very critical. Irrespective of how they appear, being cognizant of it makes you less vulnerable to the different psychological marketing techniques, including lifestyle marketing. By the way, there are many more emotional cues apart from lifestyle marketing, which includes happiness, sadness, FOMO or fear of missing out, social proof, authority, urgency, scarcity, exclusivity, humor, fear. The list goes on. That's a different world altogether. If you would like me to make a separate video on that, then do comment below and I'll come up with that in the future episode. Regardless of which psychological trigger the company uses, it is crucial for you to understand that it is nothing but exploiting our vulnerabilities and tapping into our insecurities. And the reason it is done to persuade you to do something, mostly buying their products or services that would give you a feel-good factor and convince you to be a better version of yourself. If you take away one thing from this episode, then remember that humans are emotional beings. We take decisions emotionally and back them up with logic. It is as simple as that, and though you know it, you still tend to fall for it. Remember that your vulnerabilities, insecurities, and fear of missing out put money in their wallet, either turning you into an addict of either cigarettes or social approval, depending on what you are buying into. Again, let me reiterate that nothing is good or bad. Your perception makes it so. Similarly, when we speak of a brand, it's nothing but a company, like any other. But we perceive it of a higher value and term it as a brand. But if you remove that perception and take a deeper look, then you will understand that they are just another company. So my message to you is just be self-aware what you are choosing and buying into and what it will impact on your life. I read a quote the other day where Will Smith said, and I quote, "Too many people are buying things they can't afford with money that they don't have to impress people they don't like." That hit me hard. Very, very hard. Embrace and accept your vulnerabilities because that will make you more powerful. As George R.R. Martin says, once you have accepted your flaws, no one can use them against you. Well, that's a superpower to have. If you don't accept it, then some big brand is going to tap into either of these emotional clues, which I mentioned earlier, and tap into your psychology to make you buy dumb shit and will make a profit out of you. If we are on the same page, then please share this with as many people as you can. Share it with your friends, families, and enemies. Enemies? Well, I'll leave that up to you. If you learned anything, please like this video for the YouTube algorithm gods and subscribe to Alphause for more iconic and phenomenal stories like this. We cover business stories, case studies, and insights similar like this for entrepreneurs, content creators, students, and anyone who is hustling and dreaming. Because as Walt Disney said, if you can dream it, you can do it. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. This is Anuj from Alphause. Check out this next fantastic video as well as an epic business case study playlist. See you in the next episode. Peace out.